I was very careful about nutrition, about what I was feeding my kids at home. And then I realized actually that I was wrong. This is how I started to do my own olive oil liquid soap. At first, it was really like for me. And then my friends started to ask me to sell them some of the product because they were like, okay, but we have kids at home as well. So it might be useful to have that kind of natural soap. Like my kids are crawling on the floor, they put all their toys in their mouths.
Welcome to this special podcast series on Impact Talk in collaboration with Advanced Media Trading, stories of UAEs Purpose-Driven Entrepreneurs. In this series, we explore the stories of 5 incredible women entrepreneurs who are creating a positive impact in the UAE. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to Ruby. She is the co-founder of The Botanist, a UAE-based brand offering toxin-free, plant-based and refillable home care products. Ruby, a warm welcome on Impact Talk.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to receive me today.
Thanks for coming. How are you today?
Good. Thank you.
You're just coming from holiday.
Yes.
So fresh.
Yes.
So I really want to start the conversation, Ruby, around your background, because I know that you were in fashion and then slowly, shifting to sustainability, and then, starting your own venture, The Botanist. So before we come to The Botanist, I'd love to know, the story, behind that and how it led you to start this new company.
I'm from Canada. So I guess like in Canada, we were always sensible about sustainability, recycling, nature. Then I moved to France for work in fashion. And even for the Parisian house I was working for, we were very sensible about the quality of the product that we use to dye the clothes, to make it more sustainable for the river in China, to avoid like massive pollution, for the denim to do the wash without water. So even there,
it's part of your work actually.
Yes,
already.
Yes, exactly. And then in France, even at home, I was using the Marseille soap flakes for the laundry. Yeah. I was using the black soap to clean the house. And I always loved like that soft smell of those soap that wasn't like very harsh and very difficult for the skin as well. So I was used to that. And then I moved to Dubai. And for some reason, I just asked my helper what she wanted to use to clean the house. And I just buy it without thinking that much, because I guess at that point I had other priority in mind with my firstborn and just to adapt with this new city. So I just leave it like this way for a while until I start taking a nutrition class, and I realized that, okay, I was training super hard. I was doing a lot of running, CrossFit, a lot of different sports. I was very careful about nutrition, about what I was feeding my kids at home. And then I realized actually that I was wrong, because my house was clean with all those chemicals. And I think the blue really come when I catch my helper cleaning the pan with Giroux soap. And I was, oh my God, I put food in that after I spent a fortune to buy organic food. And after I cook it in a pan that has been cleaned with harsh chemicals. So that was at that point that I decided to change completely the product that I use for cleaning at home. I started to look for natural product available on the market, but back then it wasn't as popular as it is now. Now we have more alternative.
When was it?
That was around 2018. Okay. So slowly the idea to develop my own soap started to be there. I do a lot of research, buy some book, look on the internet, do a lot of trial and error to develop my own Casty soap. And a year later, I was quite happy with a version of my soap. Actually, I got the final recipe from one of my friends that is from Spain. And it was the family recipe for the Casty soap. So I get very lucky to have that. So this is how I started to do my own olive oil liquid soap. At first, it was really like for my own pleasure, like for my own. So I buy like those glass bottle. I printed some labels, and I add some essential oil that I like to clean the house, because essential oil has some natural property, antibacterial and cleaning properties. At first, it was really like for me. And then my friends started to ask me to sell them some of the product, because they were like, okay, but we have kids at home as well. So it might be useful to have that kind of natural soap. Like my kids are crawling on the floor, they put all their toys in their mouths. So, and they started to buy it. And then their friends start to ask me as well. So by the end of the year, I create a little website. And yeah, this is how it really started at the beginning.
But that's amazing, because basically it started by your own needs. You needed to know this kind of products, and you built the formula, you tried out different formulas in your kitchen. And then, people were quite, interested, by the product. And this is how you never had actually the idea to start a business at the beginning.
No, at the beginning, it was mainly for me, actually.
Interesting.
But there was a demand for that kind of product at that point. And then COVID happened, and the lockdown and the homeschooling. And slowly the website started to gain in popularity, because the mom didn't want the helper to do the cleaning around the kids with the harsh chemicals. So they started to be more interested in the natural product, especially around children. And at that point, I get some help from my trainer at the gym, introduced me to my now co-founder of the Botanist, to give me a help with all the marketing, website, and everything. At first, it was more like just help me as a incubator project for smaller enterprise and everything. And at the end, you really like show a real interest in the project, and
she became part of the adventure.
Exactly.
Wow. It's fascinating, because like you never, it was not the initial idea to set up, a business. Finally, you started, and then, you met your co-founder. I love how things, aligned for you, very naturally, very smoothly. So it's an incredible story.
Yes, and she arrived like just at the right moment, because like right after she arrived, like we get this Spinneys incubator project as well that help us get more known and distribute in store. So it was a very big adventure, like because we had to move from my kitchen to a proper factory in a very short period of time, do the production to fill up around like 25 Spinneys stores, Spinneys and Waitrose.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a very interesting period, and I feel like everything just happened like almost naturally, but really like, I don't know how to say that. I feel I get like very lucky on all the process.
I think it was the right time, people, became more aware of, the damage of chemicals, on our health, on the environment, and the demand is growing. So I think, it's very good timing.
Yes.
So can you explain me what's the mission of the Botanist? What are you trying to achieve?
Actually, I will say the mission is in two parts. The first part is really to take all the chemicals of our house. So to create product cleaner for the house, or beauty product that will be like completely natural, without a synthetic or chemical compound in them. And the second mission will be more on the environment part as well, because now a lot of natural ingredients are not as natural as they seem as well. So we need to be careful for that. And even the packaging, there's a lot of waste with the packaging of the product and everything. So we keep the glass bottles, even if it's more complicated for the handling. And we provide some recycling pouch. We took a long time to finalize the recycling pouch, because we wanted to find eco-friendly alternative, and we find those pouch which are like 55% based from sugar cane. So it's not like all plastic. It's biodegradable. It's more sustainable, and this is what we use for the refill for the bottles.
Wow. So it means that if when we buy your product, after that, we can just buy the refillable,
The refill pouch.
the refill pouch, and we use as many times as possible the
Yes.
bottles we have at home.
Yeah, so this way it's avoid like throwing the bottle every time like in the bin and buying a new one. It's just the refill pouch. So we save around 90% of the waste doing that this way.
And your clients, are they receptive to that? Do they like this idea?
Yes, they are very receptive. They are very helpful, and they really help us like to continue and stick to our mission because they like it and they take the time to write it to us, to make posts on Instagram saying that they received their refill pouch and to show us like how they are excited to refill their bottle. So the engagement from the customer is there, and it's very exciting and very motivating for us.
Well, yeah, it must be so rewarding. You know, you want to do more in that case.
Yes. And it makes you want like to continue on that field and stick to it very tightly because you feel that you're doing the right thing at the end. So it's very interesting.
That's the power of having a purpose. So now you've been in business for a few years, I would say.
Yes.
So what have you learned so far?
We have learned that, especially for the cleaning product, it's a very unregulated market. There's a lot of gray zone, and let's say, especially for the ingredient list at the back, it's not regulated. You don't need to write down your ingredient. So you can put water, surfactant, perfume, and you're done. But it's very generic, and the customer cannot know what you exactly put in your product. So it's very dangerous, and a lot of brands just use that to put any kind of chemicals and dangerous ingredient in the product. We learned that something that we need to be extremely careful is the term fragrance.
Why?
Because even now that we, most of the country removed the paraben and sulfate from the product, before we used to see the fragrance ingredient completely at the end of the list because usually it's by order, like the ingredient, the biggest percentage at the beginning till the smallest percentage at the end. And perfume usually has always been at the end of the list. Now, if you look carefully, you will find it in the middle because company don't need to disclose what they put in the fragrances because it's a trademark secret. And they hide all the paraben and the sulfate and everything in that because no one can go dig in the fragrance. So now you find it in the middle because they have like the 4% sulfate, the 3% paraben, and everything is inside there. So we need to be extremely careful.
Well, I mean, that's very important what you're saying to us right now. So as a consumer, we have to be extremely careful with the products we buy because we might not be aware of, what exactly is in the product we are using.
Yes, most of the time we just don't know. So that's why when you look at more like a smaller brand, they will try to be more transparent on the ingredient list and very detailed, like, okay, this is the INSEE term that is very generic and very specified, and they will write down on the side what it means exactly for the customer to make it like easier to understand what he is buying exactly. So now more and more brands are doing that, but more small startup than the bigger one. Yes.
So that's a way to kind of make you stand out from the competition. So how receptive are your clients to your level of transparency? Because I guess you're very transparent about the ingredients and what you're using. So how the market reacts to it?
I think our customer really like this transparency, and it's a way that they trust us as well, because we are not trying to hide anything away from them. And even when we develop new projects, when we do research, we are trying super hard to find always like the most natural alternative to be used in our project. Because as I mentioned a little bit earlier, some can be like natural ingredient, but at the end, because of the transformation, they are not that natural at the end. I can give, for example, the castor oil. We know it can be very interesting to put it in shampoo because it's very good for hair, to have your hair stronger and more lustrous and everything. But if you use modify hydrogenated castor oil, it passes with a ethoxylation process that creates a toxic dioxin called 1.4 dioxane and can cause cancer. So at the end, it's not natural. It's still natural, but it's not natural anymore. It's become dangerous for you. So we are trying like to avoid using like all that kind of product and find like more natural way instead. And we do a lot of research on our product.
Yeah, it must be a lot of work for you because, as we said, in the beginning, it was not your background initially. So how do you keep learning and, evolving with your business?
I think it's just to be like, every time we create a new product, we go to the ingredient list, we go on the latest research on that kind of ingredient. We don't just settle to one website. Like, I know that one of the websites that is very well known is EWG. To see it's what is it? It's an American website that do a list of all the products, but as well all the ingredients, and put a annotation like if it's a number 1 green or if it's a number 9 red, which is very dangerous for your health. But even some of the number 1 ingredients, sometimes they are number 1 because they are the best alternative, but they are not always the perfect alternative. So we don't stick to just one website or one research. We are really taking the time to read about the product, to ask our supplier, to ask for the study from the supplier, from all the white paper, from the laboratory and everything, and go through that before we select this ingredient particularly.
I'm glad that you're telling us that because people can realize how much work there is behind, a purpose-driven business. So it's not something that, happen overnight. And especially when you're very conscious like yourself and your co-founder, Simona, like it means like you take your responsibility and you're not taking things lightly when it comes to your customers.
Yes. And what is interesting is with Simona, we always discuss the ingredient together. So sometimes like I do a first sample with an ingredient list. I go through the list, and then she do more research on her side, and we discover that maybe this is not as good as we would like. So we continue to do like trial, and we ask our supplier how we can avoid that. And yeah, it's really like a big teamwork. And at the end, sometimes it takes months, sometimes more like years to develop a new product, because of all those research and waiting for a sample and trying again. But it's an interesting process because at the end, when we have the final product, we can be very proud of this product.
You know what you're bringing to the market.
Yes.
You can be really proud of it because you've been doing your due diligence.
Yes.
I want to know, who are your clients?
It's everybody.
Okay.
It's funny because now, like, I refer more like at the name that I see like on the customer that buy online, but it can be women, it can be men, and it seems to be like from like a variety of different like culture and background. So it's very interesting. At the end, I think it's mostly people that are interested to be like chemical-free. A lot of our customer buy our project because they like the smell, because it's all natural essential oil. We don't put any fragrance or perfume or anything artificial in that. A lot of them like the product because as they are natural, they are soft for the skin, they are not dangerous, they don't put a chemical particle in the air when you spray the product. So it's customer that can do a lot of sports, so they don't want to have like toxin inside them. Parents,
Very different people.
yeah.
And I must say, so we are recording the podcast in Advanced Media showroom, and we're using, actually, they are one of your clients, and we're using your products.
Yes.
And I was in the washroom, and I tried for the first time the hand wash from the Botanist, and it smells so good.
Thank you.
So just coming back to the clients, do you work with businesses? How is it like? Is it more like individual clients, or do you focus more on businesses right now?
Right now, we are working with both. So we have some selling point like Spinnings and Wet Rolls, our website. But we also work a lot with business, with restaurant, especially during COVID, the restaurant had the hand sanitizer on their table. Now they are using more the soap. And we are looking forward to work more with hotel as well, as we're trying to expand our beauty range to have like the hand and body lotion that will come out very, very soon. We are super excited about this. So it's now in production, so we are waiting.
Amazing. So you're really expanding the range of products now.
Yes, because we are really trying to cover like most of the everyday life inside the home, but also for the beauty care product. So it's a very interesting journey.
I'm excited because, the skincare products, that's another, gray area, especially for women.
Yes.
So I think we really need more, alternatives and, natural, chemical-free, alternatives.
Yes. We did a lot of research on that, and I can say that our ingredients are chosen like with good care.
Excited. So how do you foresee the future for your business?
We just started to sell across the GCC this month. So now our website is open for Saudi, Kuwait, Bahrain. So we can ship all around GCC, which is a first start to expand the brand.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And this is very exciting for us as well because we are curious to see the reaction of the customer in those other countries. And eventually we are very interested to move a little bit our Europe, and let's see how it goes.
So a very international vision for the business.
Yes, but on a
Step by step.
On a closer future, it will be really to develop the GCC and, as I mentioned a little bit, like all the hotel with natural product, with full bottle that they can put in the bathroom in the room to avoid like all the small sample that create a lot of plastic and waste. More and more big hotel chain now, we can see that they have like the full bottle in the wall. So it's more sustainable.
Very good. And you said to me before we start the podcast that you have your own little factory here in Dubai.
Yes.
So that's for me very unique. So I really want you to kind of explain us. So you moved basically from the kitchen to having your own factory.
Yes.
And everything is made in the UAE, which is like really amazing. So how do you see that evolving as well? Do you see yourself having a bigger factory, having factories across the GCC?
For now, our factory produce all the cleaning product. For all the beauty and skincare, we need to partner with another factory because it's a different regulation for skincare product. So now I think for the GCC, we will start like this. I think we can cover like most of the GCC with this organization. And after for European market, we are looking to have production done directly there because even on a environmental point of view, it will make more sense because a lot of the raw material is from Europe, produced directly on the market and distribute directly on the market will lower as well the carbon footprint. So we're looking for that as well.
Amazing. So the name of the podcast is Impact Talk. So if you could give one piece of advice to inspire people to make a difference, what would it be?
Actually, I think it will be like just be curious, really engage to do something different or something else that you can look for the product that you buy. Is there a third-party certification on the product? Is there like a fair trade, USD organic, dipping bunny on the label? I keep that one for the end because it's always the tricky one because small company cannot really like have those certification because they are extremely expensive and it will put like a big weight on the price of the product. But as a small enterprise, you can still work with company that provide the raw material with those accreditations.
Certified raw material.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so this is what we are trying to do for now because it is the way for us to have like some guideline and prove that we are using like proper raw material and eventually like be able to get the certification ourselves. But always try to look at the process of the company that you are buying with and don't buy just to follow a trend. Just try to buy like something that you believe will change.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. And thank you for being so transparent because I know that as a small business, it's hard to get, those certifications and it's going to take time. And it's one way to do it as you're doing it at the Botanist is to work with suppliers that, align with your values and that can provide this kind of certifications. And that's another way of doing it. So thanks for sharing the tips. Because this series is all about purpose-driven entrepreneurs, what have you let go of to follow your purpose?
This is really tricky. I will say I let go of all my free time. And yes, the business itself take a lot of time, a lot of dedication, but I also have kids that are still in primary school. My daughter just starts secondary next week, but yeah, I still have small kids at home that require a lot of attention. So yeah, it's really like to have an agenda like a prime minister and you don't have any free time. Like every single minute of your schedule needs to be like properly used to be able to finish the week. So yes,
being super organized, I can imagine.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Ruby. It was very inspiring, very insightful, actually, for myself and for all the listeners to kind of understand, what's behind the products and how important it is, to do our own research and know what we are buying.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. And also a big thank you to our partner, Advanced Media Trading, for hosting us for this very special series. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and share the podcast. Let's spread the word about UAE's Purpose-Driven Entrepreneurs. And stay tuned for our next episode on Impact Talk.